All right, we're gonna start building up the middle ground and the foreground. So basically, think of it as if you have strips of construction paper and you're just pasting them one on top of the other. So I put a rectangular shape down there. Now I've made one with my curve tool to look kind of like mountains. And so this is like a review because you've used these tools before now. Um, and so I'm layering on another mountain there, and I just kind of, make it hilly and mountain-like. Change the color. So I'm going with like a purplish color for my mountains, thinking about the whole idea of purple mountains. I think it was in our national, one of the songs, like Purple Mountains Majesty, blah, 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 America. Anyway, so I'm just playing around with those shapes, getting the mountains to look the way I want. Remembering that mountains aren't always a perfect peak. They kind of plateau sometimes. So I'm adding now what will be my foreground, parts of my foreground at least, with the grass. And I copy and paste the shape and then I change the color to make it lighter or darker, whichever way I want it to go. So I'm putting the darker colors in the back and the lighter in the front to make it look like it's receding backward for that part. So that's what you see me there. So I've got 3 layers of green. Again, I just copy and pasted my rectangles and changed the color. Same thing I did with the mountains. I copy and pasted my mountain. I feel like I wanted another one in there, so I'm using the curve tool and adding another one. I'm going to change it to a darker kind of purple blue, put it in the back, so I had to change the order and send it to the back. And I'm going to put another one sort of closer to the front. I'm going to change the shape a little, and that one will be kind of like my greenish mountain, but I'm going to make it a little bit more muted of a green, not as bright as my grass green I have down there. So it's a little more olivey. So I've got 4 layers of mountains and 3 layers of grass there. And when I double click on my shape, I get purple dots, and I can change it ever so slightly if I want to. And as a reminder, it works best to keep your borders transparent, so I put that in the little sidebar there. Excuse me. Excuse me. All right, and now I was going to look up a silhouette of a house. Again, remember the idea of the transparent background. I just don't think it works with my scenery, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to keep my scenery a little more natural, but yours can be however you want it. Remember, it could be make-believe, it could be real, it could be outer space, whatever. Throw an alien in there. So now I'm making a tree, so I made a sort of rectangular shape for the tree trunk. And I'm going to use the curve tool to make a more organic shaped tree top. Change it green. I'm going to give the border a darker green outline. And let's see what happens next. All right, so now I am playing around with the idea of things going to the background get smaller. So we call that diminutia. Things get smaller the further back they go. They also get or appear to be closer together. So I'm making a railroad track. So I've made it look like it's receding, getting smaller and smaller and closer together the further back it goes. And it just kind of looks like a triangle in the front right now, but you will see as I'm now taking a sort of trapezoid shape and making it the little wooden slats in the railroad. So I take my one shape and then I just copy it to make the next one. And I move and adjust and just kind of play around with that to get it to how I like it. So I started in the center just so I have a kind of center starting point. And then I take the other one and I edit it, and then I copy and paste it. So I always copy and paste the last one. So notice how the one closest to us is a little wider, and then it gets skinnier and skinnier the further back it goes. And you'll see that happen in a lot as I go on with this. And I'm a little nitpicky, so I keep adjusting my shape so it fits perfectly within that. Though I guess a real railroad, they'd hang off the edge anyhow, but whatever. And technically, I don't even put the rails on this too, so I'm going to demonstrate that in class. And I'll also demonstrate live how to do a couple of other things. So I've zoomed in, I clicked that magnifying glass and clicked on my screen to zoom in because it's going to get too tiny and difficult. And now I can even see my details. Again, if I want to edit my shape, I just double click it and I get the little dots that I can move it around. Copy and paste one of my other shapes, make it skinnier, make it fit within the frame. So notice they're getting closer together and they're getting skinnier. So that's all part of diminutia. Diminutia, which has to do with how our eyes perceive space in reality. The space as it recedes, as it goes back into the distance. It's a funny word, and I think that's the only reason I remembered it, diminutia, because it's just a funny sounding word. I don't know. Funny words are almost lyrical to me. I like the way they sound, so I say them over and over in my head. So you see my shape is getting skinnier and skinnier, and it's the last one I put on, it's almost just going to look like a black line because there will be no room for that reddish, woodish color I put in there. Again, being nitpicky with my shapes, but zooming in helps a ton with this. All right, see that last one just looks black. I'm just going back and cleaning up my other shapes because they're sticking out a little and a bit OCD with that. Oh, sneaky sides. Sneaky, sneaky sides. All right, and there it is. We could just, you know what? Let's not call it a railroad. Let's call it a boardwalk. I have a boardwalk going off into the distance. Maybe I'll put a lake underneath it and make it kind of marshy. All right, so that is me adding something there to the foreground. You can, of course, add way more than that. You can add other little characters and stuff like that and more images like you did for the background if you want to insert in something from the internet. All right, have fun.